Welcome to this Key Excel Skills for the Future Workplace. This course has been designed to be suitable for existing and new users of Excel to really show the power of this package and how it can transform your everyday work. I've been training spreadsheets now for 40 years and it is my passion, if I'm honest. And I created a company called SquareOne Training, which is 30 years old, last September. We have recently won the top 10 courses for digital skills for our Excel course, and I want to share my passion with you. On this course, I aim to show you how to set up data and some of the shortcuts that you need for adding data and tips for things like everyday shortcuts, selecting, editing, copying, etc. I'm also going to then show you how to work with tables, pivot tables and charts to actually give you a quick overview of how we do analysis in Excel. So let's get started. What I've done in Excel is I have just created a new workbook, and this workbook's got existing information within it. I'm using the latest version of Excel, which is the 365 version, but you can do most of these features in 2013 and onwards. Okay, starting with the basics. When you create spreadsheets in Excel, you get columns of data, which is your ABC across the top, and rows, which is your 1, 2, 3 down the side. When you create spreadsheets, it's very important that you actually name your column headings. So always working across the top, make sure you don't have any blank columns or rows in data. It's best to have continuous data and no merged cells or anything like that. So I've actually named my column headings of the information that I'm going to use. The second tip is to make sure you format your cells. So whenever you work in Excel, everything is to a format of general. So this is called a ribbon, and I'm on the home ribbon. And the formats for the actual cells are within the number area. So everything normally defaults to general unless you tell it otherwise. Okay, and general means text to the left, numbers to the right, and basically it's got no predefined formats. When I work with things like invoice numbers and part numbers, I actually format the cells. So you can see here as an example, if I click on the number that's there, I managed to get it to go 0001 by changing the format of the cell to become text. And by doing that, it means it won't knock the zeros off. If you left it on general, and then let's do this one to general as an example. If I then try to type the zeros in, pressed enter, it won't work, it knocked them off. So by predefining the layout of that cell, that it is going to be text, okay, choosing text there, it means that you can do and type formats like that. When you do text, text will default to the left-hand side of the screen. And by typing in an invoice or a part number, when you've got text, you can then do magic tricks as well. You can come on the corner, drag it down. And when you drag it down, you can actually get it to automatically then create the next number for you. So again, that's quite a good tip that it does that. This area here is the amounts. Again, I pre-formatted those cells and said that they're currency. So I've highlighted, I've chosen the currency format, and therefore anything that you type in there will automatically go currency. You can do that at the end of when you've got your data, or you can do it at the beginning. You simply highlight, you can choose currency from this area here or up the top, depending which one you would like. The date received one, again, I have chosen a layout called date, and by doing that, it will automatically save me a lot of typing, because if the actual date is within the current year, you actually don't have to type all of this in full. So as an example, let's go here to this column, which I've pre-formatted as a short date. If I was here and I wanted to say the 3rd of January, I simply just type 3/1. You don't need anything else. And then when you press enter, you'll see that it automatically populates your date for you in full. So a very good shortcut to do. When you've done dates as well, the other good thing about it, by actually choosing this date format, having this layout, you can then do magic tricks. So for instance, say they were all paid different days, I can go on the corner here and I can actually double click. Okay, and when you double click, it's going to automatically say the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, etc., which might be what you're after. But if you then click onto an option down here, we call this autofill options, you can do some amazing tricks because you formatted your cells. So if I go to here, look at all the things you could do. You could say fill your days with weekdays, so just Monday to Friday and miss out weekends, etc., etc. There's so many options you can actually do. I'll go fill weekdays. There you go. It will bypass the Saturdays and Sundays. So please be aware, formatting your cells is fantastic. It will allow you to do some amazing features. Okay, the next trick we're going to do with creating information is when you work with spreadsheets, always make sure you separate your first names and your surnames. And that way you can then sort in alphabetical order of surname. You actually can't sort alphabetically if that said Fred Mason in a cell. So my advice is always separate it into separate columns, and then if you have to have a full name one, create it. And to create it, I'm going to show you a quick trick that came out in 2013. So rather than write a formula to put those together, I'm going to show you a neat little feature that came out. This is called Flash Fill, and it changed my life, and I use it for all sorts of features now. So first of all, what we're going to do in here, we're going to type in Fred, then a space, and then we're going to put in Mason. So I'm basically going to match the information that's there. Okay, and once you've done that, you can double click it. You're going to get lots of Fred Masons. And then if you hit this little icon here, you can then go for Flash Fill. Okay, and it should automatically merge them together. You can have loads of fun with that. You can merge cells. You can do lots and lots of different layouts. You could do Mason and then Fred first. You can even create unique email addresses. So that's just an intro of the importance of customizing your actual cells with the layouts, and a couple of tips thrown in as well. Okay, next thing that we're going to look at is we're going to look at adding up. So adding up in Excel is something we do all the time, and it's the most popular thing that we would want to do, and it's called AutoSum. So I'm going to introduce you to it. First of all, to do AutoSum, you need to decide where you want to add up. So I've decided I want to add up in N2. Now N2 is if you look at N2, there's no numbers above, but there is numbers to the left. So I would like to add up what's on the left. When you hit a button called AutoSum, which you will find in your home area, it will automatically highlight what it thinks you want to add up. So it's saying no numbers above, therefore I'll highlight what's on the left. And if that is actually what you would like it to do, you can press AutoSum to accept it. Okay, so if I do that again, I'll just delete what's there for you. It's click where you want the answer, hit AutoSum to add up, check that is the range that you would like to do. If it's not, you can highlight what you did want. Okay. Alternately, what we're doing is we're accepting what's there. So we're going to go add up what's on the left from B2 to M2. Add up those cells. I'm happy, so I'm going to press AutoSum. So that is what all of those cells add up to. And if you highlight them, you can then check down the bottom, down here, where it says sum, that is the match. That should match exactly what's in there. Now, once you've got your answer and you think that's fabulous, I often say to people, now let's copy that down. Okay, so if I had £1 for everybody who says to me, yep, I know how to do that, we go on the corner here and we click and we drag it down. And the answer would be, yep, that'd be quite right. That is how you do it. However, let's get faster. So the quickest way in Excel of doing this is as follows. Make sure you're on the answer, then move to the corner, as you can see, like we did before, but do not click and drag. Simply double click. And when you double click, that's going to go all the way down to the bottom without you dragging, which is, I think, pretty cool. Okay. Same with the VAT. We're going to work out the VAT. So we know in the UK at the moment, this is the amount that it adds up to. And now we want to say, but what is the VAT element of that? Let's add the VAT. So we go equals to say that we're going to do a formula. Equals. We then want to say, take what is in N2. Can't get my words out. Take what's in N2. So I'll click it. And then times it by 20%. So in Excel, the times is above the 8. So you go Shift and 8 on the keyboard, so you get the star. And I'm going to type in 20 and then the percent sign. If you typed in 0.2, it would give you the same answer. Okay, so it's equals N2, what's in that cell, and then I want to times it by 20%. Okay. Okay. That will then give you the answer when you finish the formula, and you can see up here the calculation. We call that a formula bar. So up here it's telling you that you are doing N2 and then timesing it by 20%. When you are happy with that, again, you go on the corner and you double click. It's an amazing trick. It only works going down. It doesn't work going across, but double click is fabulous. Okay. Won't worry about that one. So we've got our elements added together. We've worked out the net and the VAT, etc. Okay. Down the bottom of the spreadsheet, write the word total. As I said, you cannot double click the formula to work to go across. So you would have to click where you want the answer, do your auto sum to add up, press auto sum again, and it will then give you the answer. And then to get that across, you've got to go on that tiny little corner till you see your mouse will change to a thin cross. Okay, and when you've got that, you simply click and you drag it across. Okay, so there's all your answers down the bottom and then what it adds up to, and then you can change your formatting. I hope you like those. Okay, so moving on, what else would you want to learn today, apart from your adding up? The kind of thing that I would recommend that we also look at is some shortcuts, quick navigation tips for highlighting columns, highlighting rows, moving around data, that kind of thing. So first of all, one thing that I find useful is holding down Shift and Spacebar. Okay. And by doing that, Shift and Spacebar, you can see that I've highlighted a row of information really quickly. For me, that's great. That allows me to read data quickly rather than get my finger. So anywhere on a cell, you go Shift and Spacebar, and that highlights the row. So you've got to admit that's probably better than getting your mouse all the way up there and clicking. It's a lot faster if you remember the shortcut. Okay, highlighting a column. To highlight a column, again, you can move your mouse and click if you want to, but holding down the Control key and Spacebar will highlight that column really quickly. And again, you can then read the data or cut it, paste it, move it, format it, whatever you want to do with it. Okay. Freeze panes, very passionate feature of mine. It allows me to be able to scroll down my data and always see my headings, and scroll across my data to always see the side bits as well. To use freeze panes, you've got to think, what do I want to see? So I want it so that I can see the names that are there, and I can see the top bit as well. So I'm going to click at the point of the spreadsheet that I actually don't need when I scroll. So that's, in this instant, B2. And when I'm on B2, I go to a tab called the View tab. And I click View and I choose Freeze Panes. It will then say to me, do you want to freeze just the top or the side or both? And I go for both. So I say Freeze Panes. So it's click on the cell where you want to be, go to the View tab, and then choose Freeze Panes. Okay, it will change to unfreeze once you've done it. So that is it now. And if I scroll across my data, you will see my headings on the left don't move and the top bit don't move as well. Doesn't move. I love it. So the secret is to do both directions, and that's the way to do it. Okay, so we've got another spreadsheet here. This is again normal data. There's no formulas inside this actually. Nothing inside of the data. It's just let's just delete those. It's just literally data within a spreadsheet that's been typed. And what I would like to do with it is, first of all, freeze the panes. So I want to make sure that when I scroll, I'm going to still see those headings. And if it ever got large, I'd see the side bits as well. So I'm going to do something called freeze panes in here. Okay, so just going to freeze the panes. So as I scroll across, I'm going to see that information there. So very, very handy feature. Okay, when you do Control and Home, or in the corner up here, if you go A1, you will go back to the top of the spreadsheet. So that's a good get me out of here, back to the top. Okay, what kind of thing would I like to do with this? Okay, I would like to take this data, and if, for instance, I want to grow it, make it bigger, and I want to start to analyze it, I turn a lot of my spreadsheets into tables. Okay, now a table is a way of analyzing data and allowing the data to grow and change. And any formats that you do within a spreadsheet, if you were to go to the bottom of the spreadsheet, it would automatically carry that format on, and any formulas that you might have as well. So to do that, you first of all click anywhere in the data and you press Control T. And when you press Control T, it comes up with a message that says, where is your data? And it highlights the range. And it will say, my table has headers. And yes, it does. That's a good sign. You're looking for that because that means you've named your columns. Okay, I'll press OK. That's now made that flat data into a table, which is just fabulous. And when you click into it, you will see across the top, it's now got a table design. If I click out of it for you, you can see that that wasn't there before. So it's taken that data and it's put it into a table. Now, when it puts it in a table, just because it goes blue doesn't mean you have to have it. You could go for any of the preset colors up here, or you can in fact go to what you started with, which might be no color at all. The advantage of the table is if your data is going to grow, as I said, it will get your formatting and carry on throughout. So you can see I've got a table now, and here's the edge of it here, right at the bottom. If I was to go, for example, in that bottom of that table and press Tab on the keyboard, that will then automatically grow that table. So I can put an invoice number in there, and I know that it will go in the same format and design as before. So if I say this is daily review and I put somebody's name in, etc., and then here it knows that that's going to be a date. Let me show you in the Home tab. You can see that that's carried on the format. It knows it's a date because I've set it. So if I go 3/1 and tab that across, let's say it's sweets. And this will go to currency again because of the formats. Okay, that's how many sweets. And yes, they've paid. And it goes centered. So again, it's going to have lots and lots of features that you've been using, which is very, very powerful. The other thing the table does is it puts on these little filters. So they may or may not have been there before I press Control T. But these little filters will now allow me to start to analyze the data. So I can immediately say, okay, show me everything that Cinema Extra has done with me, and press OK. And straight away, if I read the bottom, I can see that they've actually placed 17 orders. So it tells me down the bottom, there's 17 of 57 records found. Okay, if I want to clear that, I can go for the filter button and actually go clear to automatically reset it. Not only can I do that within filters, but the other thing that is very, very powerful here that lots of people say I've never noticed that is you can filter by dates. So when you click the down arrow, because you formatted the cells as dates, when you click the down arrow on date, you can pick from a range of styles of dates. And this is the bit I love, you can even go to date filters and say, show me anything that is yesterday, last week, next week, etc. Play around with those options because they're pretty cool. So these happened because we created a table, but when we created the table, it also put filters on, and filters live here. So the same features would have happened if I'd done it that way as well. Okay. The next thing we're going to do on the course is we're going to analyze this data. I'm going to show you how to create what's called a pivot table, which is the future of analyzing data. We've got Power BI and we've also got pivot tables, and both of those are just fabulous. So today is pivot tables. So I'm going to show you simplified versions. Okay, and what I'd like to do with my data is I'd like to know how much I've sold per product, per customer, etc. I've made this into a table, so it means the data can grow quite happily. And then I go to the Insert tab, make sure your cursor's inside your data, go to Insert and then choose Pivot Table. It will ask you what table range you would like to do or what range of data. Mine's coming up with table 1 because we created a table with Control T. It will then say, where would you like your data to be? I'd like it to be in a new worksheet. So I'm going to press OK. And then it's going to put the headings of the data into a field list. This is your pivot area where the data is going to go once I've chosen it. Now I could spend a few hours on pivot tables, but I'm going to give you a brief summary and show you how easy it is to do. So first of all, before you start to plot anything, think about what you want to analyze. So is your product the most important thing or is it your customer? Okay. If it's product, you start there. Okay. And what you do is you tick product. So the thing that is the most important that you want to analyze is ticked. It then goes down the row. So it goes downwards. So you can see your chocolate, your hot dogs, your nachos going down there. If I take the tick out of that a second and I show you company, tick that instead, then that is what is the priority. So whatever gets ticked first. If I was to tick company, then tick product, I would then be summarizing something within something. So I'd be saying by company, analyze the products, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to go for that one. So they're going down the rows and then across the top, you can have something else. You can have whether they've paid for their goods or not. So I'm going to say, actually, that would be a good one. So paid is yes or no. I don't want to tick it because if I tick it, it'll go down the row. So instead, I'm going to click it and I'm going to drag it and drop it to columns. And that's me saying I want it across the top of the data. There you go. So by doing that, we're getting the breakdown of no's and yeses across the top. Put them across the column. So that's what that means. If I now want to know the value, that's the amount invoiced for those goods, I can tick that and see where it lands. So sometimes I tick it. I'm hoping it will land in values, but it doesn't always. And if it doesn't, I'll force it there. But I'm going to tick it. There you go. Good data. It's gone into summer values. So in seconds, I'm now analysing very, very quickly by customer, by product, how much that actually is, which to me is just, well, just love it. I think it's unreal. If I then wanted to drill into that data more, I can create timelines, I can create slices, there's many things that you could do with the data. So I can come up here and go, I'll put the timeline in as well. So I'll insert a timeline on the date one, press OK. And you can see very, very quickly, a few clicks of the button, I can now click on here and say, well, what did we sell in July? What did we sell in August? Nothing on, you can see there. That's because most of it was done in 2022. So we highlight that range and then have I got nothing? Nowhere. Nothing's coming up. Oh dear, cracking up. My data's no good. Let's have a look at my data. It's all done in 2020. Sack the trainer. So if I go back here, look at the 2020 range. There you go. Go across there. Perfection. There you go. I thought I'd updated it all to 2022, but obviously not. Anyway, but you can see the power of that very, very quickly, that I've created a table, I've pressed Control T, I've inserted a pivot table, and then I've just ticked a few of these boxes, which I think is fabulous. If you make a change on your data, always make sure if you change any of this data or add to it, always make sure that you right click on something and then you refresh your data. And again, very, very powerful information. Okay, let's take this away. Just take all these away. Okay. Well, let's analyze a couple more things and then I'll do a bar chart for you. So when you're analyzing your data, if I do it by product and by amount invoiced, there's the report, couple of clicks, I can then go insert and then have a chart, which may look like any of these. You just hover over them to see the required chart that you would like. Click that, pull that wherever you want, and you have yourself a pivot and a pivot chart. I hope you've really enjoyed today, and I hope you enjoyed that session. I got many things I could show you in Excel, but hopefully these things are the core essentials to get you started with analysing data, because data is the future and it's something that is just fantastic for everyone. So I'm Lisa, I'm from SquareOne Training, and I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Bye-bye.